Good evening. Welcome to the Government News Brief for Tuesday, April 19, 2016. In the news, government team visits Masakanari and Parbara villages and make interventions. Minister Gaskin calls on business owners to comply with the laws of the state. And AML CFT amendments head parliamentary agenda for May 4 sitting of the National Assembly. Stay tuned for the details of these and other stories. Thank you for staying with us. I am Azim Khan and this is the Government News Brief. Leader of Government Business in the National Assembly, Prime Minister Moses Nagamutu, says amendments to the AML-CFT Act are high on the agenda of the May 4 sitting of the National Assembly. Here is that story. The Anti-Money Laundering and Countering the Financing of Terrorism Act will undergo changes to meet the new demands for enforcement, seizures and confiscation of assets used in money laundering. The Prime Minister says that the amendments are essential and urgent.
Also, we have on the agenda a number of bills dealing with a comprehensive approach to insurance in Guyana, to be able to have in one legislation a set of prescriptions that would make insurance serve the intention insurance companies have been set up to serve, and not to leave areas for scamming.
This legislation is critical since insurance companies need an ambit under which they can operate in Guyana. Wildlife legislation and others dealing with animals and the fishing sector are also on the legislative agenda. Prime Minister Nagamutu advised that government has taken the decision to present policies to the National Assembly.
We have decided that we would circulate a white paper on the national youth policy, and that would be done shortly because many political parties have been promising a national youth policy, but they never delivered on it. So we have one that is available now.
A national land reclamation policy will also be presented, which will comprehensively deal with issues of land distribution, land preservation, and land reclamation. Media operatives find no shortage of drugs at the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation's pharmacy bond during a tour of the facility. More in this report.
The Georgetown Public Hospital is not experiencing a shortage of drugs and medical supplies, says June Barry, the institution's pharmacy manager. This is contrary to what was reported in the Kaicher newspaper.
Many of the items we had them in stock, with the exception of the injection, all except the insulin, 7-30 insulin for the adults, which we would have requested, but unfortunately we were unable to obtain that from the Central Procurement Department.
Barry says that this type of fabrication can impact the facility negatively and cause patients to have misconceptions that they may not receive treatment at the hospital. The pharmacy bond staff took the media operatives on a tour of the facility, identifying all of the medical supplies which were reported to be in short supply in the Kaicher News article. GPHC's administrative manager Yvonne Bolin explained that in addition to GPHC's bond, there are several other storage facilities in which the hospital has access. These include the Rumfeld bond and the pharmacies at Campbellville, Kitty, Industry, and Enmore Health Centers. Recently, Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Public Health, Trevor Thomas, at a meeting advised the medical staff to check with the other facilities in the region before claiming a shortage of drugs.
You have to work within your budget, and therefore we have to be efficient. We have to be constantly looking to see where we may have excess supplies and where there may be shortages, because you may have a shortage of a particular drug in one facility, but doesn't mean there's a shortage in the region. Previously, all we had to, all that had to happen is that there was a shortage at a particular hospital, and no attempt was made to check to see whether in fact there may be excess in another part of the region. And then we continue to put in drugs, and therefore at the end of the year we find ourselves with pharmaceuticals that are expired.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Public Health would be undertaking a new procurement system for medical supplies. This will see each region receiving a budgetary allocation for the procurement of drugs and supplies for the region. Each region would then return an agreed sum to the ministry along with a list of items needed. The ministry would collate the items requested by each region and use the return allocations to do bulk purchasing of the items. For this Government News Brief, Shivani Rampersad reporting.
The Education Ministry employs a broad-based approach for reintegration of teenage mothers into the school system. Here is that story.
The Ministry of Education is taking what Chief Education Officer Lato Sam describes as a strategic approach to have teenage mothers complete their education.
We've already designed a consultancy document, the TORs for that, to have the consultant on board to begin the process. It's a broad-based, rather comprehensive approach to dealing with the needs of our teenage mothers, to have them reintegrated into the system and provide the necessary support for them to complete their education.
Top Education Ministry official says that this will be a multi-stakeholder effort.
It's going to be an approach that not just the Ministry of Education needs to own, but a number of sister agencies and ministries, so that we can address issues of healthcare, childcare, maybe other forms of support, just to ensure that these teenage mothers can actually effectively complete their education and have a chance to self-actualize as a result of this experience.
According to Sam, the policy initiative is very comprehensive and the groundwork has been laid to begin this process. Government has committed and budgeted to provide everyone with a chance to have a sound education, which will enable personal development and allow for meaningful contribution to Guyana's development. Government News Brief, Glendon, Greenwich.
A recent needs assessment to Masakanari and Parabara villages in Region 9 saw some immediate results. More in this report.
The visit was a follow-up to a meeting the Masakanari and Parabara village leaders had with President David Granger. Several issues in education, health, infrastructure and communication affecting the residents of the villages were raised at that meeting. Minister of Indigenous Peoples Affairs Sidney Alikok, who led the needs assessment team, says that the team was immediately able to remedy the communication divide in the area.
It was very, very successful since we have been able to connect the internet connection to the coast. We were able to speak to Mr. Levi, who is in charge of this connection. The Tusha was able to say thanks to him, and we were able to establish 2 computers, and will shortly follow the completion of 8 more computers to the hub, which would be used for health, education, and the village council's business.
While several recommendations were made by the residents and officials, residents raised the issues of traveling for hours to access basic medical services. Director of Regional Services Dr. K. Sheko said she would recommend that the medics be transferred to Masakanari. That person will also serve the nearby village of Parabaro. The residents are also asking for trained teachers in Masakanari and the development of a secondary department in the primary school.
There is the request now for the children to go out to Aishalton for the grade 6 exams or to Parabara, which is very, very difficult on the parents themselves. And they are requesting that the exams be held here in Masakanari for these exams, which will assist the parents. It will be less costly and it will be better for the children. So I am in support of that move because it used to happen before, and I think if we are going to be talking about a good life, then we need to ease this sort of a difficulty on the people here in Masakanari.
Masakanari is a YY community located in the deep south of the Rupununi. It is the most remote village in Guyana and has a population of just under 300 persons. This community has a rich history of maintaining their cultural heritage and practices.
Businesses urged to register and comply with the laws of Guyana to create an investment-friendly environment. Here is that story.
Minister Gaskin told the Government Information Agency, GINA, that one of the major problems facing the business sector is the high levels of corruption.
What we have found is that there is a significant informal business sector in Guyana. Most countries tolerate some level of black market or informal business and so. But I think we have taken it to a new level where the informal business sector is probably as large or even larger than the formal business sector. And that presents a lot of problems for business development.
The minister further explained that the situation has reached a stage where it has to be addressed. There are state agencies with the responsibilities of enforcing and implementing the laws of Guyana.
And if those laws require that these businesses be investigated and penalized for non-compliance, then that has to take its course. But we are saying that, while there's an opportunity, we are urging businesses to register properly, to file their tax returns, to get involved in the formal business process.
The minister is of the view that the activities of the informal business sectors are greatly impacting the growth of the country's economy and the overall development of businesses. This is also a factor affecting the ease of doing business in Guyana. Minister Gaskin has committed to working with all relevant stakeholders in creating a more conducive and investment-friendly environment in Guyana. Renetta LaFleur, Government News Brief.
We have come to the end of this April 19, 2016 edition of the Government News Brief. You can find the details of these and other stories on GINA's website. We encourage you to subscribe to our website and YouTube channel. You can also like and follow us on Facebook so you can be informed as the news unfolds. Do join us again tomorrow for another edition of the Government News Brief. Thank you for watching.